Hello, my name is Swiss Bianco. In this video we will have a look at the Glock field knife. This is a brand new version, brand new out of the box. The field knife is made for many decades by now, basically for the Austrian military, but later on of course it was exported as well as used by other military and of course civilian use as well. So in general there are basically two versions, one with the sawback and the standard version without the sawback. And for a long time you only got it in olive green like we have it here, but nowadays they also make black versions and tan and possibly other colors. The item comes in a blister packaging. We have there some information, and Glock field knife, BFG with saw. On the back side we have some more information about Glock, when they did started in 1963, and then in 1981 they started a bit in a bigger way there. It's just the usual Glock information. This one from 2019 they did update that. Now to the knife. Nothing too fancy or special. We have to see this did start as a military product, like the K-bar knife in USA as an example, or like the Swiss Army knife as a folding version. So what we have here is an economical, rather easy to be made knife. We have a hidden tang in that polymer handle. The blade is pressed into the handle and secured that way. You can't take it apart. We have unfortunately no lanyard hole. That hole that we see there by the grip is to remove the plug at the end of the grip if you wanna use that as a bayonet for the AUG. And such variations of the Austrian military rifle, we also see quite some marks on the guard. It's just rough stamped and bended. That could be made quite a bit smoother there where they did stamped out the guard, but again that is a military item, and that doesn't matter. Now the earlier version, as best as I remember, had a bit more of a matte finish. This one has a bright black shiny coating of a paint, quite likely, nothing too fancy. We see on top the saw blade, typical simple saw blade version. That works relatively good because we only have a small metal here in the same thickness, and then the blade gets thinner, so it's basically a bit free floating on the sawing action. Always as you use it with the saw, be careful that you don't grip into the blade. The guard is here, but it's a rather small guard, so be careful doing that. Then we have a clip point blade variation on both sides, and just a regular cutting edge. It's a flat ground, nothing special there. The grinding lines and the sharpening are relative nice, but we have all over the knife a burr from the sharpening on this side here. The camera quite likely will not pick that up. If you use that and whittle something like a wood with it, quite likely that burr will go away. Of course I'm gonna resharpen it all the way so that is off, and then I'm gonna use it further. Also the point is not completely pointy, grinded or sharpened. It has a bit of dull spot, and about, I would say, about from 5 millimeters on here to the tip, there is it isn't sharp. It has a bit still a spot that needs to be sharpened. But again, for a military knife, really well done for what it is. We also have to see the price for those knives, brand new or relative inexpensive. The carbon steel that they used is for sure not the best either. It's basically designed to be a resharpenable, if I can talk, that you can resharpen it in the field relative easy, maybe even possibly on a stone and not on a diamond, and that goal is reached because that works with that heat treating, and the steel that they select. It's simply a item to use up and then get replaced. That is not a collectible in that regards. Now, what makes the Glock knife really good is the sheath. They did really make a absolute nice sheath for the item, for what it is. Often you have a fixed blade that the knife itself is really good, but the sheath is not worth much, and sometimes even dangerous. So this is really a great point. From top to bottom. First we have a simple polymer design, injection molded. As we start on top, we have here the belt loop, relative big, so even bigger belts will fit. Now right now it's open, so that you could use it just like a clip, or you can simply bend it over and push it back in, so you have then a solid belt loop. On top we see that the loop has a bit of insert there, that it gets smaller, so that, which means that if you push that on the belt there it will interlock and possibly not slide around too much. Then we have this part here is basically the locking part that interlocks from the sheath with the knife. We have here a bit apart, and that on both sides, so the knife blade would go into the sheath in both ways, so it's usable for left and right hander use. So to take the knife out, you need to bend that a bit, and as we put it in, it interlocks with that part. Really nice. So as we push it in, we see here, as it goes all the way in, it interlocks, snaps into the place. So to take it out, you basically need to press a bit on the side, and then you can take it out. Really nicely done. Like that, you shouldn't be able to lose the knife in the field, at least not as easy as with other designs. You also don't have any velcro, any straps that go around the handle that would be in the way, or possibly could get cut by the blade as you drag it out or put it back in the sheath. Really great design. And then at the end of the sheath we have that part here, so you can leash it down. You can put in a piece of cord or paracord and leash it to your gear. On the bottom we have a really big drainage hole, so if you use the knife outside in wet environment and some water, rainwater or whatever else would go into the sheath, it can get out easy. Because the whole thing is polymer, you can of course wash it out too with hot soapy water if you have something in it. Really well done. The handle, I need to say, the handle has a good shape too. We see it is a bit thicker in the middle, but all in all really well in the hand, big enough for my rather large hands. We have a bit of gap between the guard and the handle. That is how that is by the military construction and quality. But all in all, really nice. Now as we look for the use for what you could use that knife for, this is a bit universal knife from the size, from the shape, of course with the saw blade, that always help. If you can select the knife with or without the saw blade, I would for sure go with the saw blade version. As we look at the blade, it's rather narrow because it has a full flat grind, and especially if you resharpen it, the cutting edge is relative good. That works too. But if you look, it's a rather small blade. The thickness is there. That is all good, but it's not as wide, so it always remembered me a bit of a dagger, just not sharpened or grinded like a dagger. It's just a single edge knife, and it would for sure work really well in a style of a dagger as well. So maybe you are living in an area where daggers or knives that have two-sided blades are banned or restricted, or you can't carry it. That would be a good option for you to try out and get the Glock knife and basically use that as a replacement for a dagger. Also, because it's rather lightweight, that is easy for backpacking and carrying the thing like that. That is still from the shape and from the size of the knife, it's very useful for bushcraft and camping and outdoor use, but not too heavy. It's not a absolute thick full tang or wider blade, longer blade, and yeah, it has quite some uses, and it's too bad that there are not more like custom knives out there that make rather narrow blades like this one, even as a single edge and not as a dagger. So yeah, it's a unique approach, and it works out for many decades now for the Austrian military, and for many civilians all over the planet as well. So that much about the Glock field knife with the saw blade back.